Welcome back, guys, to Java Fanatics. Today, guys, we're going to discuss about garbage collection, a brief discussion about garbage collection. Um, we're going to see how garbage collection is done and why is it important, stuff like that. So let's begin, guys. So what is garbage collection? Garbage collection refers to the process of free memory in the heap. You know, when you create an object in your Java application, the object must be saved somewhere. So that object gets saved in the heap. So a heap is a memory just like any other memory with size and everything that a memory has in computer systems. So there must be a way to free the heap. And the garbage collector is that guy that will help us to free that memory in there. So garbage collection happens automatically by destroying unused objects or objects that have gone out of scope in memory. It's important to mention that this object, like we said, they exist in the heap. And heap is one of the types of memory that exists in the JVM in Java. So we'll talk about types of memory. We have the heap, we have the stack, we have other types of memories that we will look at. So a heap is a large pool of memory allocated to a Java application. If an app keeps instantiating objects and leaving them in the heap, at some point the application will run out of memory. An out of memory error will be issued. However, today's JVMs are very clever, or there is a way that you can configure your JVM to keep to have a dynamic memory allocation for the heap. That is, when the heap gets full, the JVM will increase the size somehow so that you don't end up having running out of memory, so that more objects can still be instantiated. So what is this garbage collection, or what is a garbage collector? So a garbage collector, guys, is a daemon thread. So we will learn about threads later in our series of tutorials. So it's a daemon thread that runs at the background that scout the heap to look for unused objects. So it runs at specific intervals. A programmer can still invoke that daemon thread to start by invoking system.gc. But there is no guarantee that the garbage collector will start doing garbage collection. Java or the JVM can decide to ignore the request because the JVM is optimized to know when to do garbage collection. So we said that garbage collection happens on objects that are no longer reachable. So the question is, when does an object become unreachable? An object is no longer reachable when all the reference to that object have gone out of scope, or you can say when there is no longer an object pointing to that particular object that is in the heap. That means the object is now in isolation. No one is talking to the object. All the reference to it are broken. So now the garbage collector will see that this object has gone out of scope. Therefore, it is no longer needed. So the garbage collector will remove it out of memory. So garbage collection is one of the important features that Java has given us to developers, because you don't have to worry about memory management. So the garbage collector will manage the memory for you. In the process, you don't have to worry. You just code, you just create objects. Even bad programmers who just create objects anyhow, the garbage collector will make you look like a good programmer, because it will always delete all those objects in memory for you. So if you are interested about doing further research in terms of how garbage collection happens, guys, there is what we call a young generation in the heap. So young generation in the heap is used to store new objects. If you create a new object, it will be stored in a young generation. So in the young generation, newly created objects would be stored there. So when garbage collection does its cycles, it will look for whether the object is out of scope, unreachable, stuff like that. If it finds that it's still reference, it will not garbage collect it. So there is a threshold that is specified in the JVM for the garbage collect to say that if this object has stayed in memory for this period of time, then promote that object into an old generation. So if it has stayed for a specific period of time, it gets promoted. And if it has stayed long, it means that object has survived garbage collection cycles, many garbage collection cycles. That is why now it gets promoted to go into old generation. So just like the way this thing happens is that we have hidden space and survivor space. So hidden space stores this newly created object. If a garbage collection happens and then the object that existed in the hidden space did not get garbage collected, it means that object has survived the garbage collection. Then it gets into the first survivor space. When the garbage collection happens again and the object still wasn't garbage collected, it gets promoted to the next survivor space. So survivor space is for those objects that managed to skip a garbage collection cycle and were still referenced. At the end of the day, if the object has survived many garbage collection cycles, it will then be promoted to the old generation. You can actually go and do your research on that from Oracle website about the way the garbage collection works if you're really interested. But yeah, you can. So guys, I hope you pretty much have an idea of what the garbage collection does. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. See you in the next video tutorial, and please don't forget to subscribe. See you later, guys.